You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from August 28th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Sorry, Susan, you have to do roll call.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to just go from the top of my screen then, and if you'll just say aye. Siri?
Aye.
Ilya?
Aye.
Anita? Anita?
Are you muted, Anita?
You're muted, Anita.
Sorry. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Holly?
Aye.
Drew?
Aye.
Thank you. Now, is there a move to approve the minutes from last meeting?
I'll make a move.
Thank you. Does someone second?
Drew, I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 It seems to be unanimous. Thank you very much. So the minutes are approved. And since we still don't see a representative from 329 West Franklin, we'll go ahead and talk about 140 North Main, the Cordova House.
Right before we do that, if I can introduce Juhi. So to the board, I sent you, Susan and I invited Juhi Evans to become a member of the El Presidio Historic Advisory Board. Juhi and her husband, Chris, are both architects, and they live in one of the infill, one of the units in the duplex on Meyer Court. And she submitted her paperwork, but we'll go through the formality of recognizing her officially with a nomination also here from our board. And I would like to make if we can do a roll call for approval.
So technically, you guys are going out of order. So there was a call to the audience, and that was number 3. And then number 4 was the nomination for Juhi. And I think she's not here anymore. She left. You lost her.
Huh.
I would suggest that just for efficiency's sake, we go ahead and get the opinion of the board about adding Juhi. Is there anything else we need to do, Jody?
No, but I apologize. Can you back up for a minute? Who made the motion and who seconded for the minutes? I was taking other notes.
Ilya made the motion. Who seconded? I think
Drew seconded.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. No, I mean, you just can nominate her, and she's not on the board until it goes to mayor and council and they officially appoint her, and then she has to take her oath of office. But you can nominate her, and these minutes will go to the city clerk to let the city clerk know that you have made that step.
Right.
Great. Why don't we do that now while we're waiting for others to appear? Since I think we have enough people to vote.
Yeah, you still have your 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you still have your 7. I
Right.
can count.
Well, I'll move that we accept Julie. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to have her because she's both trained in architecture and a neighbor, and she's very devoted to the neighborhood already. Christopher, was that a second?
Yes, please.
So we have a motion to vote on accepting Juhi to our board. All in favor? Just raise your
Aye.
hand. Here. And Drew, I can't see you, but I assume that you're saying aye as well.
Aye.
Great. Then the motion passes, and we'll go through the process of having her submit her application to the mayor and council.
She's done that.
Have they approved?
I don't know, Jody will be the one who knows what the process is, but I know that Jody was to be squiring that through, and that Juhi submitted and filled out all the forms online several weeks ago.
The city clerk is not fast. I'll just
Uh-huh.
tell you.
Okay.
So they've sped up a little bit ish. But there was somebody who was going for Fort Law, and it took them a while to get onto the board. So I'll check in with the city clerk. I'll make a note to check in the city clerk to see what's up.
Very good. Thank you. Julie, welcome. We've just nominated and approved from the board's point of view of your election to the board. And we appreciate so much your willingness to serve.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Susan. And I apologize. It was such untimely. My internet decided to drop out. But thank you. I'll look forward to the next steps to make it official.
Very good. Now, I think we'll move to 140 North Main. And I see Bob is not here.
Hi, I'm Bahar. I'm here on behalf of Bob.
Remind me of your name again.
It's Bahar, Bahar.
Bahar. Thank you. Thank you. I'll
Yeah.
turn this over to you then.
Okay,
I've made you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
thank you. Okay, as you can see in the development zoning here, this is our project. It's located between West Alameda Street and Washington Street, and it's an interior lot. And it's also contributing, as I'm showing here. So we looked very closely with Ken Scoville at the building, and here are I'm here presenting some of our observations. As you can see in the photo here, there are missing mortar joints at a stone veneer at base of the wall, and there are also a series of vertical cracks in the lime plaster on the finish of the adobe wall, and these cracks are cracks indicate thermal expansion or contraction or differential in settlement in the wall. And as you can see here, we have movement of different volumes of reinforced masonry, which cause these cracks. But these vertical cracks are not that concerning because the walls are not reinforced, and with having hollow parts in the masonry, this could happen. And if we have a horizontal crack, that's where it's a much more serious issue and it's more concerning. As you can see here, we have a plaster detachment at the wall base, and this is the south wall of east and west wings. And we're showing a more detailed photo here. This is the wall. And also this crack over here, you can see there's a crack, and there's the plaster is detached at the joint of east and west wings. And we also have hollow plaster here at the base of south wall. Based on this photo here, you can see that the wall is bowed, and and we have also deterioration at the on the southwest corner of the west wing over here. And in the courtyard, the brick is laid on sand, and since we have this mesquite tree here, the roots have the moisture from the roots, as you can see, have caused damage over here to the bricks, and we're proposing to lift it up and repair it and relay the bricks. And okay, as you can see here in one of the interior photos, the beams are deflecting. But since the beams are not carrying the roof and they're just carrying the ceiling, which is just saguaro cactus ribs, it's not going to cause a very serious issue for us. But this is also one of the things that we observed that that's happened to this building. And here are some of other deterioration and cracks on the walls. And in here, we have annotated the repairs that are needed, and we have put them in drawings. It must be uploaded on the website already. You can see this is the north elevation, and we have shown all the cracks as they are here. And this is the south elevation, the best elevation of the building, and the north. And oh, I should also say that we have Eric Means on board. He's agreed to do the job within the budget that Bob has coded for for this project. And Eric Means is one of the best preservation contractors in Southwest. I can say he has just finished working on the East Tower of San Xavier Mission, and he has agreed to work on the preservation project of the Casa Cordova. And that's it. If you have any questions or concerns, I would be happy to answer. Thank you.
Are there questions from anyone? I believe that that Vet and Associates have worked on the Cordova House in the past and are very familiar with it. So,
Yes.
and Eric Means, as you say, is really an expert at Adobe.
Oh, he definitely is. And Christopher, if you want to add anything, you're welcome to.
Yeah, so thank you for letting us present this. This has been a long time coming, on work on the Casa Cordova. And after getting through that pandemic and stabilizing, we have received a grant from, well, a couple of awards that will fund this project. We have received a grant from the National Historic Preservation Fund. We're also awaiting award from the Daughters of the American Revolution. And we've also received a private gift from the Stonewall Foundation through the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona, which is all funding this project. So we're really excited. The first of a few projects that we're getting ready for at the museum. And Eric Means that actually Eric has worked on this property, I think, all the way back to 75. He was one of the contractors who worked on it in 75, and then was instrumental along with Bob in the mid 90s, I believe. So we're super excited.
Does anyone have questions or comments?
Ilya, I just want to note that Alex joined the meeting at about 6:15.
Excellent.
Hi, Elliot.
Hi. Well, we're excited to see this finally getting the funding and having the expertise of Bob and staff and Eric Means.
You eat your dinner. I mean, they have a meeting at 6 o'clock at night. What do they expect?
Alex,
Hi, yeah.
you need to mute now again.
How do I mute again?
It's either at the top or the bottom of your screen. We'll have a little speaker and you just click on that. It will put a line across it.
Oh, let's see. I got a plus minus on the screen where the picture is, where I can see your vid.
Well,
Right,
Alex, it's okay, so long as you're aware that we can hear everything in the
Right.
back there.
Yeah,
So, um,
okay. I
so-
got the development zone. Okay. I don't see a speaker at all. All I've got is the area map. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a speaker. I can mute.
either at the very
Oh,
top of
okay,
your,
I've got it.
yeah,
You need to just click on something here. What did you touch, Nina? Can you find the speaker, please?
Alex, I can mute you if you want, but you're just gonna have to, oh, nope, he muted himself. He's just gonna have to unmute when he has to vote.
okay, and we're about to vote, so, if Alex,
I did mute. I'm gonna mute again. It's okay.
hold on, Alex, because we're about to vote.
Okay,
You're gonna have to speak, so.
got it. Okay.
Will somebody please make a motion to accept this proposal for the repairs on the Cordova House?
I make a motion to accept.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, sorry.
Siri has moved and Lydia has seconded. And we can go around and have a vote now. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
I can see you.
Aye.
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 Siri, are you voting? I didn't see your hand.
Drew. Aye.
Thank you. Is Siri? Yes. Thank you. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bahar.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Okay.
The next order of business is 329 West Franklin. We still don't have a representative of that project.
We do not. I emailed him and I emailed him before and then I emailed him again just now and I haven't had a response. So I think he's gonna just get trailed to the next meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. Is there any other business that,
There's staff updates. I just wanted to give you a staff update. So the city is moving to hybrid meetings. If you are interested, we do need to do a test meeting if we do a hybrid meeting. So before you actually have a meeting, I want to do a test meeting to make sure everything's going to work. It should be, we are not going back to paper plans. So it should be in a location where there is a projector that I can hook my computer up to, and a place where there's Wi-Fi, and a place where there's a place to project, so to speak. Oh, it says something that Alex is coming on, but sorry. So Alex is 329. Are you guys willing to stay? He looks like he's trying to get on. Anyway, so if there's a place where we can project the screen, then we can try doing a hybrid meeting, but it's all up to you. If you don't want to do a hybrid meeting, we can stay virtual too.
honestly, these meetings are probably easier for everybody. I don't know offhand where we would find a screen, a room that we could all attend. We've been having neighborhood meetings at the Art Museum Education Building, but we can't ask them to stay past 5 o'clock. Is there anybody who's ardent about having a meeting in person? Okay. So do we have the representative for 329 West Franklin yet?
He's trying, for some reason, he joined the PRS meeting. I am sending him the correct meeting, even though he had it. Bear with me. Sorry, folks. I'm not sure what happened to him. Okay. And Juhi, I think you missed it. You may not have been in part of that conversation, because I think you were not on the call, but you can't actually vote yet. You have to wait until you're appointed by mayor and council. And then you can, and then you take your oath of office and then you can participate in the meetings. Although you kind of look frozen right now, so you're probably not getting this. Oh,
I can hear you. Joe.
okay. All right. So
but noted, understood.
okay. And Alex is now online. He is the applicant for 329. I will go ahead and make you a co-host so you can present your project. I should also note that just to give you a heads up, the development zone that Alex provided is not correct. He included some properties that were not in the HPZ, the apartment complex to the southwest, I believe it is. So that's just a side note. But Alex, you can share your screen.
As I'm doing this off my phone, are you able to pull the plan? If I can get my phone. It was kind of meetings, so it took way longer than I anticipated. So.
Yes, I can pull them up on my screen. Hold on just a second. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Alex, just tell me where you want me to go.
All right. I mean, we can start with just looking at the site plan because that's really the first concern, of course. So, I mean, what the project entails, what we're doing is we got a medical therapy class, and he has a garage in the back, or she has a garage in the back, and she feels like she can use it to do a kitchen therapy. And so, well, the building itself already was converted. It was already just the front garage door was taken out and someone infilled it. I don't know if it was her or not. And then the inside had an AC in it. So we didn't technically do that part, but I know because it was never permitted, we've dropped that in here. What we're proposing really is the work is the kitchen equipment. Is that what we're proposing on our part? But I know it seems like you guys probably never even seen this until now, as far as what's being proposed for the exterior looks. But I mean, you can see on the front, what they did is they have a T111 that they filled the garage door with, and then they put windows in there. And I did notice T111 throughout the buildings, and that's what I noted in my documents, that there's other buildings that use the T111 a lot, which is the brick to fill in the veneer, the openings. And that's really the extent of exterior work. I don't know if there's any other additional exterior work we did except for that infill. That we're proposing or showing, I mean.
In other words, you aren't really proposing changing the external features of the current building at all?
Correct, yeah, there's nothing that we're doing construction wise. That's the way the look's been for a while. Everything our part is entailed is the interior work for the kitchen equipment.
Yeah.
But the use technically has changed too, because as mentioned, it was used as a garage, someone converted it to whatever they were using it before. This tenant, the medical therapist, is using it for kitchen therapy, and that's why I'm bringing in the kitchen equipment. But again, it's the use that changed too, so. But exterior wise, yeah, that was already taken out and ripped out a long time ago.
That was done by the previous, original owner, the family. Once we put that, rehab that house, they enclosed the garage and wanted to use that as extra family space. So that goes back quite a while.
There you go. Yeah.
Was that ever submitted for historic review?
It wasn't, but we're
And it
talking, I
doesn't-
think,
it
15
doesn't
or
look
20
like
years.
it.
Yeah, no, it was, and they were cited and they were denied use of the building in the way they wanted. And then they sold it to the gynecologist. So we're talking, what, 15, 20 years ago.
The reason I mentioned that, Alex, our purview doesn't include the interior.
Right.
So there.
That's one of those. That's one of those. We're in the middle because we have the non-permitted structure. The new tenant has to show that work as if it's brand new. That's just required by code for what I have to do for my plan purposes. And then because I'm doing exterior work technically, but not really, that gets put in your guys' play too. Then, but yeah, in reality, there's no exterior work happening in this whatsoever, except for the kitchen equipment inside. And then we have there is an equipment going up on the roof because of the cushion equipment. So.
Siri had a question. She had her hand raised.
Theory.
Yeah, I just would like more clarification on the items on the roof. It looks like there's new mechanical. Could you just clearly outline the items that are going on the roof? And then do you have specifications like the width and height of those items?
So yeah, in the end, what you see in the elevation is true to size and shape because I actually use the 3D program. What we're putting up there is an exhaust fan. So that's the big circle item that you see in the sections or the building off to the far left, the building elevations. And then we have a makeup air unit, which is basically just a swamp cooler that takes the air and shoots it down. So those are the two items that are going up on there. Overall massing it's correct on the way it's shown. That's the size of the units.
And is that visible from the street?
Right.
It would be.
Is it possible to put the swamp cooler somewhere that doesn't show?
I mean, we can probably try to run the duct really far, I guess. In the end, yeah, typically they operate by just pulling the air up on roofs. It's usually a standard for the way these things work. But I mean, we can. But we'd have to run the duct from a pretty far distance. Is what it comes down to. I wanted to see the street view again. Do we have a street view of the picture? Because I think there's a lot of wall there that keeps most of the building hidden, anyways, and a tree that's in front of the building.
But it looks like it's situated east-west, which means that it would be visible from Granada.
Yes, that's what he was saying.
Yeah, I might have to get a little bit more pictures for you to show, but yeah, in the end, it would be sitting, yeah, on the left and the low sides of the roof. So, but there's a pretty good distance between the streetscape and the building itself. And there is they have a little ramada you can see that's in front of the garage door or the original garage door. That will help hide it as well.
Very good.
Are there any comments about that besides mine?
Christopher has his hand up.
Christopher?
Hi there. I guess this might be a question for Jody. I just wanted to confirm that this is a contributing structure.
This is non-contributing.
This is non-contributing. So what is our job exactly? Can you describe that to us, please?
Your job is to make sure that it's not going to be out of place with the district, even though it's not contributing, it's still within the district boundaries. It's like right on the edge. I can pull it up to verify that. 329 West Franklin, right? So I mean, there's more leeway with non-contributors, but you just want to make sure that what's being proposed is not out of 100% character. So it's your prerogative. You know, if having the units on the top, it's a non-contributor. If having the units on the top is something that you would not normally approve for, you know, because if it's a visibility issue for a contributing resource and it's bothersome to have it on the roof for a non-contributor because you just don't see units on the roof. You know what I'm saying? Then
Right. I understand. Thank you. And a second question for you, Jody. If this building has been cited, what is the course of action related to that? Because I know that some projects that are cited that are contributing structures need to be updated immediately upon sale, for example. But I'm not sure what the protocol is for non-contributing.
you mean cited by code enforcement?
I thought I understood that this property was cited in the past.
It
for
was right. It was when the young couple that bought after the neighborhood rehabbed the house, and the couple who moved into it and lived there, bought it and lived in, made the changes, put in that window where the garage had been, and then they were told by someone from planning that that was unacceptable and that they couldn't use the structure as they had hoped to use it as an auxiliary room, that it had been zoned for a garage. But that's many, many years ago. But there should be a record.
I guess that was just my question. If there's a past record of that, I'd love to hear about it.
I do not have that information for you. My apologies on the code enforcement case. I'm going to guess that code enforcement was not actively pursuing this because typically they stay on them until it gets a permit or it goes to court or something along those lines for the violation. So, you know, there is no, back to your question, like when they get cited, you know, they have to immediately update it upon sale. The liability goes with it. So if it was actually cited for code enforcement, that liability would go to the new property owner. And they would be the ones to have to get the permit for it and take it up. And it could be that
it's
that
changed twice now.
Yeah, and it may be it's just that code enforcement was not on this, but it was something that was caught when Alex submitted the plans for the project.
And I've done,
well, we brought up.
Maybe you have, Jody. Usually where the building permits are located on the City of Tucson site, there's any of these kind of citations on it. So if it's not there, I guess it doesn't exist.
I think
it should be more in there.
On the records, but I have it pulled up right now. I do see back in 2003 that someone submitted a permit for dividing wall and electric to garage, but then that permit was withdrawn. That's the only thing that talks anything about the garage at that time. So I bet that's kind of what we're talking about, is maybe the inspectors out there looking at it, they were supposed to make a change and go the proper route. They never did. And so then it just went into expired status, not in a non-compliant. And then after that, the city just drops the ball on it, and they don't do anything else when it goes into expired. They don't ever go back and check it or anything of that nature. No code enforcement involved, and never in non-compliance that way.
It makes sense.
Thank you.
Are there other
But with these plans, we are now getting it correct. We're putting it in the right path to where it'll all be properly permitted.
other comments?
If you go to page 10, by the way, that page where you can see clearer on the street view and how we would actually, what we would see from the street. If you go to page 10 on the top left corner.
Sorry, it's thinking.
No problem. But I mean, as mentioned, the building itself sits fairly far back. So yeah, the size of these units that are up on the roof, they're not that big compared to even the building itself. And as you can tell, the building itself isn't huge. So it won't be glaring. Will you see it? Yeah, you'll see a little bit of it, but it won't be a huge item up on there. And if we need to screen it more just for visibility, we can drop some more trees or so in front.
But you said that there might be a possibility of putting it somewhere but would not be so visible.
Just the swamp cooler, yeah. I mean, it would cause extra duck run for sure, but that one we can put on the floor. The exhaust fan I can't do. That has to stay up on the roof. The kitchen exhaust hood.
Any questions, comments? I would like to urge you to put the swamp cooler somewhere where it can't be seen.
Susan, I have my hand raised. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that moving it as far out of the street view as possible is an excellent idea. Just minimizing that, that obstruction.
So keep in mind when I do, we'll see then is a duct that's 22 by 22 going up the side of the building and running along the roof of the building.
Ooh.
So we would actually be seeing something that is a little bit more hideous than just one unit sitting on the roof.
Hard to visualize that.
And the locations I put it in the front of the garage doors or on the, it would be south of the building front because on the left side of the room, they're really close to the property line, and on the back of the building, we're right up against the property line.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did the makeup air blow in a sidewall to minimize ductwork on the roof itself? There's an opening up high in the wall that, or would it be possible to cut a hole in the wall and have the cooler duct blow in through the hole in the wall?
Eat up space on the inside. So
Alex, your voice is breaking up.
There's getting better service. So the way it works, it's hard to say because we're not working with a lot of space inside. So the duct itself has to go back to the kitchen hood unit. That's where it runs to. So I have to be able to make sure I can attach at the height of the kitchen hood with that. The bottom of that's only at 8 feet to start with, honestly.
Okay, got it.
I don't see a way of doing it. Just I don't think I have the height. That'd be hard to tell one.
Okay, I get it.
Christopher, your hand is up.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Another question for Jody. Is this zone commercial or residential?
That's a good question. I can look that up.
Because if this is zoned residential, that kind of equipment is certainly atypical in the historic zone.
It's zoned HO3.
Oh. Office.
Yeah, office. Use we are.
At very least, Alex, if you must put the duct through the roof, it would be great if you could put more vegetation in. I mean, this building was, in my opinion, done. It's poorly done. It's not an attractive shift, and I've always wondered about it. It's really interesting to hear the narrative of its history and how it came to be that way. It happened, I think, before I was ever in the neighborhood, but taking something that's already problematic and making it more problematic is a real concern. I just don't, Jody, I just don't know how wide a range of possibility we as a committee have here.
Meaning, wider range, like what you can request, like vegetation.
Exactly. And what we can disagree with.
It's your prerogative. I mean, you're doing the review, so you're advisory to the director. You can request more vegetation. You can request that the units sit, farther back on the roof line to push it away from the street. You can deny it if you want to. You can request that they look at smaller units and come back. Is it a matter of maybe doing one of those, what is it called? I always want to call them the Mitsubishi units, but they're the smaller units that sit on the wall. I can't think of the name right now because it's a long day.
Ductless we're talking about. Yeah, but we're doing it. That's not what we're doing. Those are for AC heating and cooling. The whole point of a kitchen hood is you have to bring outdoor air into the building. And so that's what the VAP cooler does. It just drags in all that tons. We need like 3,000 CFM just to counter the heat that the kitchen hood will put off. So it's a different type of system that it works with. So we wouldn't be able to do a ductless system. But
okay. Thank you for providing that information. So
I mean, I'm okay with either putting vegetation in, or even I'm okay with trying to do some sort of screen on the roof that allows us to put some sort of screen up there that would look more appealing. I mean, that's typically how you hide any sort of equipment on the roof, is you put a screen up there and you give it a little bit of decoration. We can easily try to match something in the area, like the gate that you see on the front of the building. We could put a screen that matches that gate that we're seeing in that picture that I pointed out earlier.
Siri?
Ilya, is it okay that I go before you?
Please, yes,
Sorry.
absolutely.
It's hard to see because my screen is so small.
That's okay. I had a question regarding the units going on the roof. Do you plan
Siri, you're
to
breaking up.
leave it the factory finish? Or I apologize for that. Let me try again. Regarding the finishes on the units, are you planning on leaving it a factory finish or painting it a certain color?
I mean, we can look into painting. I think I'd be more reluctant because I've never painted the equipment like that. I don't know how they would operate, if they would operate it differently or not, or even mess up with the way that they handle in the weather then. So I think we'd be better off putting a screen up there and just hiding it with the screen.
Have you done the research into alternate technology like a wall unit? Anything that could bring the unit to free the roof from the two new units?
So the unit itself, like I said, it's a little bit different system when you do these kitchen hoods. So it's a makeup air, so I have to pull the air outside in. It's not like the way regular AC units where we take air and then we squeeze it down and then we make it get bigger and just to heat and cool the space. This has to be outdoor air that hasn't been tampered or messed with. That's the way it works, because you have to bring in what's called fresh air, and then it counters the air inside.
Yes, and my question was, have you looked at units that bring in the fresh air from the wall rather than the roof?
No, that I can't say that I haven't seen anything like that.
That would be my recommendation as well, is to do the due diligence and research the technology that brings in the fresh air from the wall rather than the roof.
That's a really good
We
comment.
can look into it.
There are fans and hoods that actually have exhaust and intake simultaneously, and they can go through the wall.
I can look into that. What I would be worried about is the cost of them. I mean, if we're talking about something new, it's probably usually pretty costly. So again, putting up a screen is going to be a lot cheaper than than trying to get a new technology equipment, because usually got to purchase it from somewhere else or something.
I don't think a screen would be satisfactory.
Agreed.
It's the problem is that the building is already in certain ways problematic. Adding things to the roof make it only more egregious. And so if you would take the advice of our two architect members and just see what is available. I would not right now feel prepared to support what you've described. And I regret that. But it just would not be appropriate.
And it's important to remember that this is a tenant. This isn't even the owner of the building. This is a tenant who may or may not remain utilizing that building for a long period of time. The history of that, it's interesting whether the zoning now is included through King and Place as commercial, because when the neighborhood purchased that property and used federal funds to restore it for residential, there were covenants that were written by the city legal department that ended up being unenforceable, but it was to be only residential. And then there was a lawsuit representing the young couple that had owned it because they wanted to sell it to a gynecologist who ultimately purchased the building and then used it as a gynecological office. And then since, I think Sheila has purchased it as part of the Kingham properties, but it was intended and funded as a residence, owner occupied. So I'm just curious about the commercial zoning.
Ilya, I'd like to add to your story. There was someone in the city named JT5.
Yep.
Who transformed the zoning of our neighborhood without due diligence with the neighbors. And the house was zoned HR, as most of our houses were. And in one fell swoop, the city transformed the majority of our neighborhood from HR to HO. And there was very little communication to the neighborhood. And that complicated matters tremendously with this household.
That's right.
And so it is on the shoulders of the city that changed the zoning in our neighborhood, and that facilitated and preserved the business interests in our neighborhood. And JT5 was no friend of our neighborhood. And we're living with that today.
So what you're saying is we shouldn't add one problematic decision to another problematic decision. Holly.
What I'm saying is that Ilya is quite right that the neighborhood intentions was to create a residence in that building, in that property. And because of city processes that was removed from our purview, we no longer had any legal standing despite the covenants that we placed on that building. So that's the history of it. I'm not quite sure, Susan, if I've answered your question.
Just that in whatever case, these changes would not add anything to the historic quality or value of the property. This is former garage, and there are all sorts of ways to convert buildings, but I think that adding these large structures to the roof is not desirable.
Well, do we have a consensus from both our experts and the other members of the board that we request the applicant come back after having researched some alternatives that would not entail putting these mechanical works on the roof? Is there a consensus from?
Yes, please.
I agree with you, Ilya, that there needs to be more alternatives provided to this board.
So let me just go through and ask each person. Anita, do you have a view that you'd like to express before we make any formal vote?
No, I basically agree with the discussion so far, that perhaps looking at some alternatives would be beneficial.
And Christopher, I heard your assent to that.
Yes, please. And I'd also like to ask Jody for a little bit more information about our duty in relationship to structures like this, what our purview is. Thank you.
So your purview is to review. It is within the boundaries of the El Presidio historic zone. It is, even though it's a non-contributor, it still falls within your purview to review it and to provide comments. You are, there is, again, more leeway because it is a non-contributing resource, but you're also making sure that changes and modifications to the non-contributing structures are appropriate to the district. So if you have, large equipment on a, that's not something that you would normally see large equipment on top of a roof like this in the rest of the district. And, and that's a concern, and that falls within your purview. I would say that your discussion is 100% within your purview that you're having right now to have them look at smaller equipment that has less of an impact. It is part of the street view that you see. So I would say this is an appropriate discussion. Is that what you're looking for? Or are you looking
Yeah,
for?
thank you, Jody. Yeah, so I have a very serious concern about the appearance of this as almost a commercial kitchen in the historic district.
Thank you.
As far as the equipment, just for clarification, so the exhaust hood, that would be okay, right? The exhaust that comes up, but just the makeup area for the evap cooler and the duct is what we want to try to remove, right?
They're both out of character.
I mean, the exhaust, I would say, is no different than what you see for a lot of the ventilations that come up and over the roofs. They look almost similar to those on size and whatnot.
Can you
And I
show
see
me
those a lot.
I think you should present those to the committee really clearly in the development zone.
I agree. I think rather than just making those statements, we need to see visuals of that and comparables, and so that we can make that judgment.
Siri, do you have anything to add?
I agree with the comments that the board and the recommendations that the board is making.
Drew, how about you?
I'm just curious what they're making in that kitchen. I see it's like a color and polish place in the front. I'm just curious. I mean, I work down the street, so what's getting exhausted from said building?
That I can answer. I don't go into detail on what they make as far as product. And I don't know if the nail polish place is even there anymore, honestly. I'm dealing with the medical therapist.
Weird.
Well, Alex, obviously,
Yeah.
we need to ask you to look into this a little bit more fully and give us more information and more images so that we can reasonably make a decision here.
Well, and I think you get the sense that, that we are not in support of putting the mechanicals on the roof, that we encourage you to look at some of the other technologies that are more appropriate to put on the side or the back of the building, and then come back to us.
Understood. So to recap, what are we going to do by if these equipments are $5,000-$10,000 more in pricing, and you're asking them to change to get a more price equipment than doing something as easy as a screen?
Alex,
Because-
this review committee does not look at the costs. They're looking at the appropriateness for the historic district.
And this is also a tenant. It's not talking about, we have no idea how long that particular use of the building would even remain. So that's a consideration as well. We're talking about something that you want to put in that's permanent.
I mean, it's permanent for that time being. Someone could easily take it back out as well. It'd be just like any tenant.
Again, the advisory board is making a recommendation based on the appropriateness for the district. And so, Ilya, were you making a motion or?
Siri, would you be comfortable, you or Christopher,
Yes.
raising the motion?
Yes, I would make a motion to deny this and wait for more information.
Are you denying it or continuing it?
Oh, continuing it. I apologize.
And can you spell out, sorry, I'm going to make you do this. Can you spell out the more information that you're looking for?
Yes, so we would, the motion is to continue to provide more documentation on the existing conditions of exposed units on the roof, comparables. I think one of the other board members said that additional research on alternate technologies that bring in fresh air from the wall rather than the roof, that those spec sheets and drawings be submitted for our review, that a consideration of additional landscaping, i.e. trees, to block mechanical equipment could be considered. I think there was a request for more information on what is actually being exhausted.
I think that about covers our concerns.
Is there a second?
I would second.
Thank you, Susan. Now you guys can discuss if you want to.
And the only other clarification is without additional information and without the confirmation that there are alternatives, technologies that could be placed on the side or the back of the building rather than the roof, that we are not able to support putting mechanicals on the roof in a historic district.
That part, I think you would have to wait until he came back.
Okay.
And presented that. That's understandable. I think that's clear what you're saying now anyways, but that would be something that you would have to say if he isn't able to come up with additional information. Because right now you're just continuing it.
Okay.
Very good. We need to vote then on this continuation motion. And I would ask each of you on the board to say aye or nay with your name. So, because I can't see all of the images of those present. So sorry?
Sorry, Susan, to interrupt. I'm just reviewing. Did you want to add more documentation on existing conditions of comparables within the development zone, Siri?
What would you recommend, Jody?
I mean, typically that's what the shtick is. It's in the development zone. Are
Yes,
you, okay, Susan, are you agreeable to that amendment to say in the development zone?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
I have one more clarification. So, because we mentioned it during the right now, am I allowed to provide just a lot more vegetation, or is that not the option whatsoever?
That's not an option in place of.
That was just right now when she stated it.
It would be great if you provide more vegetation in general, because the building has been done for historic district rather inappropriately, but that's separate from what we're talking about. Siri, is that fair?
I agree. I think we're seeking a multi-layered approach where providing images of the more thorough images of the existing conditions, providing research, drawings, and specifications of alternate technologies, additional landscaping to mask or view, and further research on the kind of exhaust that is being evacuated from the building.
Perfect.
Jody, do you have that down?
Yes, I have continued provide more documentation on the existing condition of comparables within the development zone. Additional research on tech that would bring in air from the wall. Spec sheets. Siri said the first time she wants spec sheets. Additional vegetation to block the mechanical equipment and information on what is being exhausted. That was what I got the first time.
I think that covers it.
That you missed. Okay.
I do have a question as far as what's being exhausted. Do you guys really have any say on that part? I mean, we're talking about the looks of the building and what you see.
I think that speaks to how big the equipment has to be and what the equipment is. So I think that's.
I mean, do any of you guys gonna know how big the equipment is based on what I tell you is being exhausted?
Well, there's 3 architects on here, so I think that they have the ability to do that research and that knowledge.
On top of which we can bring as an out, not speaking as a board member, but speaking as a neighborhood resident, the neighborhood association will be very concerned about anything that is exhausted if it is more than typical kitchen food preparation that would be exhausted into a residential neighborhood. So you don't want to open that can of worms necessarily.
I mean, as far as uses go, we're already approved for the use of the building in that zone.
That may be the case that you're approved for that use, but they're part of the permitting process for exterior changes. And this is part of your exterior change.
Are there any other comments before we vote? And we'll have Jody again read the entire motion as it stands. Christopher, do you have any further comments?
I don't, thank you.
Do you want me to go ahead and read those again?
Please.
Okay. So continue the project to provide more documentation on the existing condition of comparables within the development zone. Additional research on tech that will bring in air from the wall rather than the roof. Spec sheets on that tech. Additional vegetation to block the mechanical equipment and information on what is actually being exhausted.
Everybody on board with that?
Yep. Should we do a roll call?
I'm gonna call on people to say aye or nay and tell me their names so that Jody can hear them. Maybe some of you could see everyone, but I can't. So if we'll just start, I can say I'll start with Ilya. There we are again. So.
Aye. Ilya, aye.
Anita.
Anita Rankin, aye.
Christopher,
Christopher Doman, aye.
Siri,
Siri Trumbull, I.
Holly,
Holly Freitas, aye.
Drew,
Drew Cook, aye.
and I'm also in favor.
Oh, you forgot Alex.
Oh, Alex, sorry.
Alex Oberlich, aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
I think.
We
all
will
we've got-
wait, Alex, thank you for presenting this to us, and we'll wait to hear from you once you've had a chance to update the proposal.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there any other business before
I think
we?
it's staff updates and that's it.
Oh, well, I kind of already did the staff update, so I'm just putting it in your head. Should you like to move to a hybrid format? That is an option. We just have to do a test meeting and find someplace suitable. If you don't, that's fine too. You can keep doing virtual. Some of the advisory boards like doing the virtual. It was kind of weird. Actually, I saw somebody from West University that's been on there for a year, and I actually met him in person, way taller than I thought he was. And then that really is it. Oh, the other thing is I do have something coming online. I was talking to Ilya before y'all came on board. So I expect to be sending out another request relatively soon in November for another meeting, which you will have to have a quorum for, and you will have to not have Drew or Ilya present because they have conflict of interest.
So that review is the courtesy review we did for the roof repair replacement for 265 North Main. And this will be the formal review.
Correct. You will also have quickly coming online too, because they're getting ready to submit the formal review for the Activate El Presidio. So just keep that in mind. You guys are way busier this year than you haven't been in years past,
right,
when you had one meeting a year.
Right.
And really, that's my only staff updates.
All right.
Jody, so I don't know if this is within your purview, but I am interested. Is there any possibility that you or someone in your office can pull up the history of the zoning in this neighborhood? Because, you know, those many years ago when we were taken by surprise by JT5 is still a thorn in our neighborhood side, because we went from a residential neighborhood to an office neighborhood for half of our neighborhood without any consultation.
You know when that happened? What year?
I think I do. Let me
We
think
can go
about
back to the lawsuits.
Yeah, I think it was, help me out, guys.
Well, JT was gone by the time the lawsuits occurred.
He had set the zoning in motion, and I believe that I was either president or past president at the time, and the only thing I received was a postcard in the mail. There was never a presentation to the neighborhood. There was no information. It was just fait accompli.
Well, Holly, if you can remember that year and let me know, or let Ilya know, and then we'll communicate with Jody, and perhaps she's able to
I will
access.
do so. It was an injustice. I have to say that, Jody, by the city, by JT.
Yeah, I can see what I can find, and you can email me directly, Holly. You guys get enough emails from me.
I'll do so.
Email address, yeah.
Copy us if you will, Holly. So
yes, of
we'll
course.
all be on board with this at the same
I'll
time.
copy the entire.
No. Oh. Don't copy everybody, because that's a open meeting law violation.
Got
so,
okay.
But you can send it to me, you can send it to Ilya, and you can send it to Susan, because that's not a quorum. I'll see what I can find. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to find anything, but I will try to see what I can find. It might take me a little bit, because like there's two of us and we get kind of bogged down.
Understood, but it was a travesty for our neighborhood, and we were powerless to do anything.
Understood.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Are there any other comments or questions, any other business?
Oh, you know what? One other thing, sorry, it's been a really long day and I apologize that I keep forgetting stuff. We are gearing up to do training. Again, we will likely just do it at a meeting where you don't have any items to review. So we'll just schedule a meeting and do our training then. So it could just be you and you won't have to come to anything special like we did previously. But we'll be looking at open meeting laws and stuff like that. So we're still working on it, but I just want to put that in your, what is that? Bug in your ear, something in your ear.
Put it into our
No.
thinking caps.
That'll work too. Yes.
Let's look at 2024. Beginning of the year.
That probably will be, yes, around that time.
Thanks.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Jody, for all your help. Thank you, Julie, for coming to the meeting, and we look forward to working with you.
Welcome aboard, Judy.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey,
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.